Can you tell me the story about the day that you became a coach for the first time? You just mentioned there that you plan to be a CEO, and if I have it correct, I think literally campus security came to your classroom and pulled you out.
I played in the '84 Olympics in Los Angeles for Pat Summitt, and got back to home, Hammond, and fond memories there. Will Clark, we all know who Will is, and played at Mississippi State. He and I did a little tour throughout the state. The World's Fair was going on because we're Olympians, you know, and after that was done, I received a postgraduate scholarship from the NCAA. At that time, 5 males and 5 females were selected and said, basically, here's your blank check, go choose the school of your choice to get your graduate degree. And it was just, Louisiana Tech was all I really knew, and so I was working on my master's degree, and campus security came to the door, and I can even remember the teacher that was teaching the class, but I just was looking, and then they motioned for me to come to the door and speak to the campus security, and your first reaction is there's something bad that they're getting ready to tell me, you know, with your family, but it was Dr. F.J. Taylor wanted us to grab you before class was over and tell you to come up to the 16th floor of Wiley Tower. He needs to visit with you. And I said, is everything okay? And they said, it's not an emergency. It's not anything bad. And so that's how it began. He told me that Sanja Hogue had resigned and was retiring from coaching at Louisiana Tech, and that he wanted to give the job to Leon Barmore, but that he wanted me to be on Coach Barmore's staff. And my initial reaction was, you don't tell a coach who to put on their staff. I'm not comfortable with that. Now, Dr. Taylor, I know you love me and you think we'd make a great combination, but that's Coach Barmore's decision. And of course, needless to say, Coach Barmore called me, and the rest is history. They both talked me into doing it. Coach Barmore threw me out there at 23 years of age and go recruit. Well, I knew the state. I could drive and you know, find my way around, but I didn't have anybody to teach me the ropes. So basically, I just learned on my own.
What were the early years of that education like, getting into coaching? Because if you didn't plan to be a coach, you're probably not. Obviously, you're developing that skill set as a player, but it's a transition. What were those early years like as you learned the difference between a coach and a player?
I'm on Barmore's staff immediately after having played for him for 4 years. So now you've got to figure out, how do I go from a player-coach role to a coach-coach role? That is not easy, because he's my coach. He's who I look up to. He's who I listen to. But yet I need to be able at some point to kind of buck him and say, I disagree with that decision. We need to do this. That happens over time. You don't start it right out of the gate, and you let it evolve and you let it happen with time. And then my responsibilities on the floor were very comfortable, because I was a guard for Coach Barmore and Sanja Hogue's teams at Louisiana Tech. So teaching the game was not the problem, and he knew I was going to teach the game the way he taught me. And then became associate head coach. I think the only thing I did not do during my tenure at Louisiana Tech as an assistant was scheduling. And thank God, that's just not me. That's a difficult job. Nobody wants to do scheduling. But 15 years at my alma mater, and he prepared me for the job that we did at Baylor.
I think you could make an argument, and someone probably has, that you've sort of been there through the rise of women's college basketball. I'm quoting from the New York Times here. This was written in 2012, I think, right before y'all won a national championship. Mulkey represents the sporting possibilities available to women since the passage 40 years ago of the gender equity legislation known as Title IX: scholarships, championships, Olympic gold medals, financial security, and the self-assurance to be forceful and brash and daring without being apologetic. You're someone that was at the very forefront of the rise of this sport, a trailblazer. When you're blazing a trail, are you conscious of that? Are you thinking to yourself, you know, I'm doing something new? Or are you just in the moment and being you and authentically you?
Being me. There are people who fought Title IX battles, and that was their purpose. And I'm very conscious of those people and very grateful to them. That's not who I am. I am just a very plain-spoken, say it like it is person. Sometimes it hurts people's feelings. Sometimes people are intimidated, but when they get to know me and they're around me, they're like, you're nothing like people think you are. I coach very bluntly. I get on referees very bluntly. It's not personal. It's fighting to be a winner. It's fighting to put a product on that floor. And I always think, just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. And sometimes in life, people don't do the right thing, either from peer pressure or they may be the lone dissent and the rest of them are going a different direction. I've never been one that was influenced by peers. I've never been one that was influenced by anything but my heart. And I will fight for the institution that I represent. I will never embarrass the institution that I represent. And people grow to understand and love me for that. And it's very important that you surround yourself with people you trust. I have a real hard time trusting. That's probably because I'm a divorced woman and, been with one guy my whole life, spent 5 years dating him and was supposed to spend the rest of my life with him. So there are factors in your life that make you trust people or you don't trust people, and I don't trust very easily.
What does it take to earn your trust? I'm asking selfishly, kind of. Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
I observe more than you think. I observe people, and I'm certainly, you won't see me, I'm not the gossiping type. I love fans, and I'll go out there and mingle with fans, and I'll get after it, all the things I need to do. But at the end of the day, I'm very observant. When you don't think I'm watching you, I'm watching you. I'm not afraid to do things out of the box. You heard earlier when we met with the team, my staff is not full of former head coaches. My staff has managers that grew up in my program at Baylor, and I watched their work ethic. I treated them like players. My staff is made up of a business guy that spent 25 years of his life managing women, all women in the business world, and I thought, there's something special about him. My staff is going to be loyal, but they're not going to be yes people. They are going to make me look good, and they're going to do the things that I don't want to do. And that's how it works.
I'm quoting again from another article that I was reading as I was preparing for this. This was from ESPN. I think it was from the same time period. It said Mulkey went from one of the former superpowers of the sport, referring to Louisiana Tech, to create her own essentially from the ground up, a Hall of Fame coaching resume, if there ever was one. And that struck me as poignant because you're doing that again. You're leaving the superpower of the sport and coming to a place that has a foundation, certainly. And we've seen, you've seen the packed PMACs and the Final Four appearances, and you've been on the opposite sideline in some of those. But to do that again, do you relish that challenge of wanting to build something?
Well, first of all, I'm 59 next week or 2 weeks from now. So if I don't have the energy to do it, then I'm cheating LSU.
I'm not worried about the energy.
I'm a young 59, and I've got a lot of energy, but I'm also wiser. We grow wiser with age, and I've surrounded myself with youth on my staff. I've surrounded myself with people who believe like I believe and people who have been around me. I don't have a lot of turnover in my staff for a lot of reasons. I take care of them financially, and they see what we do inside that locker room. Guys, I wouldn't have left Baylor for just any school. I've had opportunities to leave Baylor, and no one ever knew about it. This just felt right. It felt right. I'm coming home. I truly am coming home.
It's easy to celebrate a new coach, right? It's hard to say goodbye to a coach as they leave, and I think you can tell a lot about someone based on the reaction when they leave a place. And I don't know if you paid much attention to it or not, but I was blown away by the response yesterday from Baylor fans. You went to that place. I think they'd won 7 games the year before, and a couple years later, that entire university was in a very dark place. And it's been written time and time again. But you told your team they could be the shining light. How have you seen the ability, because I think you got into this as a competitor, right? And you just loved the game and you wanted to compete, and that's the introduction to the game. But at what point did you realize this sport, what we do, can be bigger than the wins and the losses? It can transform an entire community, entire place. Was that the moment you realized it during those darker days, or did you know it before then?
I think you just feel it along the way. Before we won that first national championship at Baylor in 2005, we lost to Pat Summitt in Tennessee in a Sweet 16 game, and we lost with 0.2 of a second on the clock. Not 1 second, 0.2 of a second.
Mm-hmm.
And we put on our shirts all summer, .02, to remind us how close we were to doing something for the first time in women's basketball and be able to do it so quickly. And what did we have to sell at Baylor? What did we have to sell when I went there? All we could sell was myself, my playing days and my assistant coaching days at Louisiana Tech. And so many young people took a chance on me and believed in me, and we just beat the bushes and found those players that some overlooked. And we won that first championship in 2005, 5 years after we got there. But the thing I will always say, and I will continue to say it here at LSU, we were hungry. I think LSU is hungry for a lot of good things right now, just across campus. I think the state of Louisiana is hungry. I read very little on my phone, but there are 3 newspapers that I read every day, and that has been that way since I became a coach. One is the local paper in Waco, and one is the Advocate. Well, why do I do that? Because this has always been my home state. I've always had an interest in the state, not just LSU, not just Louisiana Tech, the state. And you want people to be hungry. You don't want to spoil them. Sometimes when you win so much, they take you for granted and they become spoiled. You have seen what women's basketball can do at LSU. You have seen other sports, gymnastics, football, national championship recently, baseball, World Series, your softball team and how good they are. Well, we need to all have aspirations to be good. And it just hit me that this is where I need to come and I need to try to get there. It's not going to happen overnight. I think I want to reiterate that again. This is not happening overnight because I stepped foot on this campus. This is going to take a major commitment, a major love for LSU to get the ball rolling, because it's not just about the talent on the floor. There's a lot of things that have to be done before you get all that talent on the floor that can win championships.
No LSU head coach or player has ever played in a national championship game in basketball, much less won as many as you have. And I was thinking about both your start at Baylor, and it's a 7-win program, and then you get them to the heights, and you talk about the 0.2 of a second, right? Which is more difficult, that first step or that last step? That first step and getting it off the ground, or that last step to actually get up to the top and cut down the nets?
I've always said maintaining excellence is harder. It's hard as heck to get there, but, buddy, it is much harder to maintain it. You see many college programs, I don't care what sport it is, they fluctuate up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm about this right here. Every now and then you might have a bad season, but I'm about consistency. I want to put a product on that floor that's consistent. And when you walk off that floor and you've been beaten, you gave it everything you had, and you were very prepared. Just might lose to a more talented team. Coaches know if that team was prepared. They know if they gave it their all, and you have to live with that until you get the talent level better.
What was your reaction when Kramer told you he was going to LSU?
I probably acted more like a coach than a mother, He needed me to be a mother, and I wasn't. I made him tell me why. I made him understand, you got Alex Bregman in front of you, probably the greatest player to ever play at LSU. And are you ready to sit? You've never sat. You've always been big man on campus. You've always been the star. You better think about this. And then subconsciously, I was probably saying that because if he would have just stayed at Baylor or stayed in the Big 12, I could have seen him just a hop, skip, and a jump drive. I knew that I wasn't going to talk him out of it. And the selling point to me was, Mom, you and Mackenzie have cut down nets. I want to play at a place where they can play for a national championship. And with that, I shut my mouth. He won.
The inverse question, what was Kramer's reaction when you told him you were going to LSU?
Kramer has probably FaceTime me and text me more in the last 5 days than he has in years. Mom, what do I say? Mom, what do I say? They're doing it. Mom, what do I say? Mom, what do I say? I said, don't lie. Avoid it, or you're going to have to give them an answer that just stay tuned. And he I hope he handled it well, but his reaction was when I was offered the job, I probably can't repeat it on microphone, but it's one of those adjectives that was real excited.
Okay, yeah, don't make me go back and edit this. That's just more work for me.
He was excited.
Did you get a taste of what LSU was like? I know you grew up here, and I think you knew the fight song as a kid, and everyone was fans. But coming back and watching him play and being on campus, being around LSU fans, did you get a feel for the magic of this place?
I've always known it.
Yeah.
I've always known it. Ironically, I can remember being in the football stadium one time. I told you on my recruiting visit, we didn't tour the campus, but I went to the football game, and I can tell you who was playing, and I can tell you the Heisman Trophy winner on the other team. USC, 1980. Can any of y'all tell me who the Heisman Trophy winner running back was?
I bet Michael can.
I think I'm pretty...
Marcus.
You ever heard of Charles White?
Yep, Charles White. Yep.
Wasn't that who it was?
Yep.
So I watched that game. I saw. And then when Kramer was being recruited and the games he played in at Alex Fox, it's yes, I'm aware of it. You can't not be aware of it.
I'll pass you off to Emily now, but I haven't asked you about this team, this program, how you get started. What are the core values, the day ones that you instill when you walked in that locker room and talked to the team? How do you start building this thing? What are the 3 or 4 keys that you've got to start with?
Well, I've got to have a chance to evaluate the talent and what they're capable of doing. I certainly can't come in here and expect some of the things out of this current team that I may have expected out of my last Final Four national championship team at Baylor. What are they capable of doing? What are realistic goals for the team? And the only way you gather that is you got to have them on the floor. This process doesn't start today or tomorrow or whatever. We've got to get moved. We've got to do the Hall of Fame stuff. We've got to get comfortable here and take our time and just do what we did, do what we know to do, and that is get in offices, watch some film from the previous season, meet these kids, make these kids want to run through a wall for you, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have to complete my staff and make sure I have it in place, and I got to go buy a lot more purple and gold.
We can help you with that. We can point you in the right direction. I'll end on this because you mentioned it. Hall of Fame. How do you get Michael Jordan to induct you in a Hall of Fame?
Well, he and I are bosom buddies. No, I'm
Best
teasing.
buddies, right?
I'm teasing. How that transpired, Michael and I were in the '84 Olympics together. I had asked Coach Leon Barmore, you have to have a presenter be someone that is in the Naismith Hall of Fame. And so I had asked Coach Barmore, but he's having some serious health issues right now, and he couldn't do it. I'm not sure if he was healthy, he would do it anyway because he hates to fly. That's probably why he's not coaching anymore. And so I was talking to Fran at the Naismith Hall of Fame, who organizes all of it, and I said, you know, I can list all these great ones I want to introduce me, Larry Bird, da-da-da-da. I said, but how selfish of me would it be to ask them to spend their time and money to fly out there to do that? Who is presenting other people that you know are coming to the Hall of Fame? And she told me that, well, you were in the '84 Olympics with Michael. He's doing Kobe Bryant's tribute. I said, throw him in there. Let him do mine. It's all good. And that's how it came about. And, of course, she had to ask him. And I said, you know, I'm honored. And so that's going to be a fun night. And Kramer, since you guys, you know, I'm Kramer's mom, so I'll throw this in there. He was very, you know, non-committal on going to it because he's AAA, and you just don't ask the big leaguers and the major leagues and the GMs, can I have a couple of days off to go to my mom's Hall of Fame celebration? No matter how big it is, you're scared to death. You're trying to make it to the big leagues. But when he saw or heard that Michael Jordan was presenting me, he got real brave, okay? All of a sudden, he went to the major league players and said, help me with this. Should I dare ask? And they said, yeah, you better ask. So he's going to be able to be there as well. They gave him a couple of days off. So it'll be a great celebration. I hope LSU people will get on board and buy a suite and buy tickets because there will be many Baylor people there that love what we did there and that I love and are lifelong friends. But we now got to get some purple and gold at that Hall of Fame.
I'd like to selflessly offer my services.
Hey,
if you need any help navigating the media there, I'd be happy to.
You could handle Kramer's wardrobe.
Sure.
You know, he loves the shoes and the clothes.
Whatever you need, strictly for LSU and for you.
Okay, Cody,
I'd be happy
you
to
got
do
it. You got it. You're going to be his escort.
There we go. All right, we'll wrap it up now. Dee Dee's here. So, Dee Dee, do you want the microphone? Do you want to come ask some questions?
The bomb. How are you, baby? Oh yeah, you good?
Dee Dee, you can start. You can finish the interview if you want to. You can start firing questions at her.
Firing questions at her?
Yeah, go for it.
Dee Dee has been my rock for about 5 days.
There you go.
Honestly.
There you go. Well, if you need help finding purple,
well, yeah,
I promise you, she knows where to find it.
Tiger print.
She's gonna meet more friends of mine that she didn't know, because I like to dress nice, professional, but I don't like to shop. My time is more valuable than a damn credit card pulling out. But my friends here, they're already like, hey, I already got you something. I'll go, send me your credit card, send me your check. So I'm gonna tell them to find Dee Dee and tell her she can tell them where to go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Tell them where to go.
That's
there you
right,
go.
baby. You
Coach,
got
thank
it.
you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Cody, you're welcome, baby. You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you.